Hello everyone, this is Tom from Hurricane Labs. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to install Checkpoint's GAiA operating system on a Checkpoint appliance. You might want to do this because Checkpoint appliances don't always come with the latest version of the operating system from the factory. Whenever you deploy an appliance, you want to make sure that it has the most recent version of the software that your environment supports. This guide will help you to ensure that your appliance is running the most recent version of the operating system when it is deployed. For this demonstration, I'll be using R75.40 GAiA+. Now, when you look at the front of a standard Checkpoint appliance, you'll notice that there's no optical drive. It's still possible to install the operating system, which is provided on an ISO file, on the appliance by burning that file to a CD or a DVD, and then using a USB, CD, or DVD drive for the installation using the USB ports on the front of the appliance. However, this isn't always the most practical approach because not everyone's going to have a USB, CD, or DVD drive available that they can use. USB flash drives, on the other hand, they're a lot more common and readily available, and Checkpoint provides a tool that can be used to make this process a little bit easier. It's called the IsoMorph tool. This tool takes the ISO file and a USB flash drive and makes a bootable USB drive you can use for upgrading the operating system on your appliance. To begin this process, you'll need the IsoMorph tool and the Checkpoint installation ISO file, in this case R75.40 GAiA+. You can obtain these files directly from Checkpoint's website or from your Checkpoint partner. You're also going to need a USB flash drive that's at least as large as the ISO file. The GAiA+ installer that we're using in this case is about 1.5 gigabytes, so I'll be using a 4 gigabyte flash drive for this demonstration, which will provide enough space. Please make sure that this flash drive doesn't have any important files on it, since the tool's going to overwrite the entire drive and erase everything on it. So just make sure there aren't any important files that you need to keep, or use a different flash drive. This IsoMorph tool that Checkpoint provides needs to be run as an administrator on your system. If you try to run it without administrative permissions, as you can see, it'll show this error message and then close. So what you're going to need to do is still run it as an administrator. On my Windows 7 system, this can be accomplished by right-clicking on the tool and choosing the Run as Administrator option. Depending on how your system is configured or the version of Windows that you're using, this might be slightly different. Now that the tool's loaded, you can go ahead and select the source ISO file. We'll click Browse here and navigate to the location of the ISO file, in this case which is on the desktop. Select it and click Open. You can see that the path to the ISO file is displayed in the window here, and that GAiA release R75.40 was detected, so everything's good there. Next, go ahead and select the destination drive in the dropdown. In this case, my USB flash drive is the E drive. Select it here. Now all you need to do is click Go. The tool's going to warn you that everything on the flash drive is going to be completely erased, like we mentioned beforehand, so this gives you one more chance, just in case you realize there was an important file. You can go ahead and remove the flash drive. In this case, I know the flash drive is blank, so I'm going to type yes, and then click Yes to begin the process. At this point, the IsoMorph tool is going to go through the process of formatting the drive, making the disk bootable, and then copying over the ISO file to the flash drive. You don't need to do anything else during this process, and just wait until it's complete. Once that's done, you'll be able to move on. Now that the process is complete, you can see this message on the screen saying that the flash drive can be safely removed. Go ahead and unplug the flash drive from your system and connect it to one of the USB ports on the front of the appliance. Next, you'll need to connect the serial console cable to the Checkpoint appliance as well. An appliance usually comes with a serial rollover cable, with an RJ45 connector on one end and a 9-pin serial connector on the other. If you don't have one of these available, you can use a standard Cisco console cable. Those are the sky blue colored cables. That'll also work. Depending on your machine, if it doesn't have a physical serial port, you might also need a USB to serial converter cable for these steps. That's what I'll be using. To use the serial connection, you first need to determine the numeric identifier for your serial port. In Windows, the first physical serial port, if it's built into the motherboard, is generally given the distinction of COM1. If you're using a USB to serial converter like I am, these typically start at COM4 and count up. But this can vary depending on your system and what devices you have installed. On a Windows 7 system, like I have here, the quickest way to determine your serial identifier is to open up the device manager by opening up the Start menu and typing Device Manager in the search box. As you can see, it's the first option. You want to expand the section here that's listed that says ports, COM and LTP. And we can see that my USB to serial bridge is COM4. That's what I'll be using. Now that we know what serial port we'll be using, go ahead and open up PuTTY. You can also use another terminal emulation program that you might have, such as HyperTerminal. Choose to use the serial connection in the radio button, and specify the serial line that you plan on using. In this case, we know it's COM4. We also can click on the settings section for the serial connection and verify that the serial settings are configured correctly. Typically, the defaults in PuTTY work for this, but we can see that it's set for 9600 baud for the speed, 8 data bits, no parity, and 1 stop bit. So that's correct. Now go ahead and click Open and power on the checkpoint appliance. We'll see the appliance going through its booting process. And once it detects that the USB drive is detected, it will present a boot menu for you to use. You can see on the boot menu there's a variety of options. What we want to type is serial, which outputs the installation progress to the serial console. You'll be able to see the installation progress throughout there. So type serial and press Enter to begin the installation. At this point, the installation process is completely automated. You don't have to do anything to complete the installation at all. Simply sit back and wait for it to complete. You'll see the installer go through the steps of formatting the file system, copying data files, installing all the necessary packages, loading the software blades, and reverting to the GAiA installation image. Once the installation has completed, you'll see a message indicating that you can safely reboot the system. At this point, completely power off the appliance, remove the USB flash drive so it doesn't try to boot off of that again, and then turn the appliance back on. You'll see the appliance go through its post steps and start booting. And once it's done, there'll be a login prompt for the newly completed GAiA install. Once you have the login prompt on the screen, you can go ahead, log into the device, and proceed with configuring it.